Well, folks, on today's episode, we are joined by our good friend, kayak tournament angler, fellow podcast host, and YouTuber, Bailey Eigbrett. And this one gets interesting because we both bring 5 of our bass fishing hot takes to the table, and we discuss a very wide array of topics. Now, will you agree or disagree with our opinions? Well, we're about to find out on this episode of Tackle Talk.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bill Dance, and you're listening to Tackle Talk.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Tackle Talk podcast. Another very fun episode because we have a guest today that I would consider one of my really good friends in the fishing world, Bailey Eigbrett. And some episodes just have different tones here on Tackle Talk. Some are going to be very cut and dry and educational. Some are going to be a little bit more buttoned up or uptight because it's our first time maybe meeting that guest. But today is neither of those. But when you have a guest like Bailey that you know so well and you're genuinely good friends with, I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting. So I asked Bailey to come with a few opinions or statements that he feels pretty strongly about that could be considered quote-unquote hot takes in the fishing world. And then I did the same thing. So we've probably got a good 10 or so total topics or opinions that you might agree with either of us on, or you might strongly disagree. And that's obviously the point of the episode today. A fun conversation about lightly controversial or very opinionated topics between two friends who aren't afraid to disagree with each other, but also really try and see the other side and come to some sort of middle ground or understanding there if there is a disagreement. So some of my favorite conversations with people are when they have viewpoints that are different than mine, but also has the merit to stand on its own and challenge my own kind of preconceived notions about a certain topic. And I actually like the chance sometimes to have my opinion changed if the evidence or case that's being made is good enough to do so. And if it's not, then it just reaffirms the beliefs that I already held in the first place and just strengthens them. So that's what we get into on today's episode. We talk about everything from rods to innovation to pro fishing to rules to how to prevent cheating and so much more over the next almost 2 hours of this episode. So with that, let's jump right into our conversation with Bailey Eigbrett. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are joined by, let's see if I get all this right, podcast host, YouTuber, kayak tournament angler, full-time now, I think since the last time we've had you on, fishing content creator. It is Bailey Eigbrett. Bailey, how's it going, man?
Good, brother. It's weird to on the flip, it's weird to hear it be said, but it's also weird when somebody asks you now, what do you do?
Yeah.
I almost don't know what to say.
I'm embarrassed sometimes. You don't want to tell people, I do a podcast. It's like, oh, cool. Everybody with a pulse does a podcast. That's like the most pretentious thing you could say during small talk. Like, what do you do? Oh, I do a podcast. Sure you do, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 2 different podcast people, dude. There's the people that just do it because they enjoy the conversation. And there's people that think that their voice is important. Yeah. It's just like, you don't know who you're going to get. And I can tell you I'm not the latter. No, I do not think.
We're just the silly kids that stuck with it for like 4 or 5 years and now can't quit it. It's got a mind all its own.
You're right. We just didn't stop and now it's work, which is cool. A good work.
Okay, so as we're recording this now, this will probably be outdated by the time it comes out next week, but we just had our first substantial snow here in Ohio, like today, and I know probably up in Buffalo, I'm guessing you got it like 3x. Is there a little part of you as like a kayak angler that wants to go out right now and fish in like the snow? Because I love, maybe unpopular opinion, I guess, on the topic of what we're doing today, I love winter kayak fishing because it's less traveling around and less trying to find the fish. You know where the fish are going to be. They're in a lot more of a concentrated area, and you can sit there and just really try and pick something apart versus trying to travel so much.
Dude, I love the snow. The first snow, like you can ask my wife, like it's coming down on us right now. I'm like a kid on Christmas. I mean, after Christmas, it can go to hell. Like I don't want it. It can, I'm ready for it to leave, but I do love it when it's here in the fall. And it's so hard though, because I was sitting there when it started coming down yesterday. I was in the tree stand and it changed from, dude, it was miserable morning, like 36 degrees and rain. And then all of a sudden the rain just paused and I just see flurries coming down and I'm like, yes, it's here. It's finally here. And we woke up to a blanket of it, dude. It's got me like, I want to go fish, but I also want to go hunt. And I'm so torn. But dude, there's
Alexa,
nothing
play
like
Mariah Carey now.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. The woods just comes alive with.
Yeah. So I guess right now, if you were to pack up your kayak and you're going to go out and fish in, Northeast/Midwest area, you can take 4 rods with you. What do you have tied on? Like, you get to take 4 baits right now in the snow.
First and foremost, I'm taking a football jig, like a Beast Coast open water sniper, the goat smallmouth jig. Like, that is the juice. When all the grass is dead here in the Northeast, there's none of it left but rock and sand. Like, that is the jig to throw. Football jig for sure. I'm gonna throw an A-rig.
Yep.
It's just an unreal fun bite. I'm gonna go single swimmer if they don't want the A-rig. I'm a big fan of a single swimmer. And then,
so with that, you're talking like small paddle tail.
Yeah, like 7'6" spinning, like a medium light, like a small 1/8 ounce to 1/4 ounce ball head. That's just for me like a easy bite getter, especially in the fall. And then one that I actually went out last year with the mission of trying to see if it actually work. But like, when you think it's too cold to bring out the power stuff, like when you get in those low 40s water temps of like, I need to throw a jig or a Ned, which worse. I brought out a glide bait just to see if it worked. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So I'm having a glide, dude. I mean, I just like, I'll throw a football jig and a single swimmer for largemouth and they won't care. Bring out the glide and it's like all lights go off and they're just murdering the glide bait.
Dude, I'm pretty sure, like, if you put a gun to my head and you said, what water temp could you fish at like all year long if you could perfect it? I think it's like 46. Like 45, 46 degrees is my absolute favorite because you are right there in the middle where, like I said, they're not so spread out, but also they will come unglued for certain baits and they will wolf pack up, especially if you're talking smallmouth. I mean, it is the most fun time of year, period. So I'm right there with you. And I think a lot of people do discount the big baits or the faster baits a little too much. But yeah, big glide baits, big A-rigs. Like, I'm throwing, dude, the A-rig I'm throwing right now, it's the 6 Sense Divine, I think is what I've got right now. It's a pretty heavy head. Like, I don't know what it weighs. It's got to weigh 2/3 to 3/4 of an ounce, just the head itself without any attachments. And then I throw 5 3/16 heads on it.
Oh, damn. All right.
This is like a 2-ounce A-rig. And then you have to, it's Ohio, so you have to cut 2 of the hooks. But yeah, a very heavy A-rig because I want to be able to fish in like, 12, 14 feet. And I want that A-rig to get down there in like 10 to 12. Like, I want to almost be just a couple feet above the bottom and peel those fish up off the bottom. And I feel like I have to wait too long for a really, really light A-rig to get down there. So yeah,
when you're current too, though, right?
Yeah. But I would rather burn it and try and keep it up than have to really work to try and get it to go all the way down as deep as I want. And then I'm probably going like, I would maybe take 2 jerk baits. I'd probably take a shallow and a deep jerk bait. I would take like a regular 110 or a Lucky Craft pointer, something that goes in that like 4 or 5 foot range. And then I'm probably taking have you used like the Jackal Re-Range MR? Sick.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, 6 to 8 foot. You can get it down to like 9 or 10 if you really bomb cast it, or just like a 110 junior, maybe even a +2 if I go crazy. But a +1 junior is sick. So yeah, I might double jerk bait.
Yeah, doubling down the jerk. I like it.
Okay, well, let's jump in here because what we have for us on the docket today, by the time people are listening to this, they have listened to the intro, so they are going to know why we are here. We both know why we are here, and that is to kind of tactfully, I think, and thoughtfully approach some of the opinions that I know we both have in fishing on a wide variety of topics, and some things that I think some people might consider like, quote unquote hot takes, but things that you really have to like think critically about to decide where you land on the spectrum, because these are a lot of times not just black and white answers. There really is like I don't know, somewhat agree, strongly agree, neutral, somewhat disagree, strongly disagree. But one of the things I really like about you is that I think you have seen the fishing industry, especially as young as you are, from a lot of different areas and like viewpoints and stuff. I mean, you've been in PR before for fishing companies. You represent sponsors yourselves. You do content creation. You do tournament stuff. So I think you bring a lot of cool perspective to that. And then the other thing I will say, and at the risk of glazing Bailey Eigbrett for a second here, but I will say it is that a lot of the people that I've met through fishing, you almost have to take what they say a lot of times with a grain of salt, because there is some sort of ulterior intention there, whether it's just being salesy, whether it's on behalf of a company or a sponsor that is paying their mortgage payment, like all of those type of things. And I think you do a really good job on both your show and just in, personal life and what I know about you on the integrity side of things. And like, you have strong opinions and you have things that, we can bounce ideas off of, but they come from just like a normal, sincere place. And that's what I wanted kind of like from this conversation. So the Bailey Eigbrett glaze train is over, but I want to start off with saying, like, I think you're a great guest for these topics.
I appreciate that, buddy. I do enjoy that. Outside of just the fact of being pals, there's very few people in this world where we can have conversations where we might disagree on something, but be able to talk about it like adults and not be like, I hate you, blocking your number.
Yeah. It turns like tribal really fast for a lot of these people. Yeah. It's like anything else now. It's like sports, politics, all that kind of stuff. Like, you are either side A or side B. There's no gray area, no middle ground. Heaven forbid we have like a thoughtful conversation about why we think the certain ways that we think. And, again, I'm not too proud to have my mind changed on things. I actually 100%. Enjoy that when someone takes the way that I think and presents a good enough case for me to say, I really hadn't thought about it from that angle. And you don't need to get defensive and put the walls up and say, nope, I refuse to see it from that side. It's like, no, there's a reason that other person feels as strongly as they do about it, because they have convictions just like you do, and it's worth hearing them out on it.
Yeah. Progression doesn't happen when everybody agrees. I mean, you got to have disagreement. You have to have challenge. It's just nowadays where we see rarity of it is, mature challenge, if you will, like people actually going about things with not getting their feelings too hurt, which it's okay to have your feelings hurt. Like when you get told you're wrong, it sucks. Like, it's just normal human nature. It's just being an adult to understand, like, okay, it's not that big of a deal to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong.
Yeah. I don't need to make 12 YouTube videos about exposing Bailey Eigbrett if I disagree with you with something today.
This dude sucks.
Okay, I will start out then. I'll go with one that I think is pretty tame, and then we'll kind of go from there. But my first opinion that I want to throw out there is, I think most people, and most people listening to this fall in that category, I fall in that category probably, have entirely too many rods and combos for the fishing that they actually do.
Guilty.
Yeah.
I am a dude. 100%. I think I am a culprit of that, and also one that even agrees that, or I'm sitting there sometimes and I'm like rigging rods. My God, it's just way too damn much. Like, I'm rigging like 3 different jerkbait rods. I'm like, this is so stupid. I should just take 2 seconds to retie. But it's 100. It's excessive, especially in the kayak space, man. Oh my gosh.
Well, one of the things like I've talked about for years is like, I think a lot of anglers go on that sort of graph, I guess, if you will, where they have a few combos, they get really into fishing, they really start deep diving in everything, and they listen to 12 different people that tell them you need this specific rod for this specific, a jerkbait that dives 2 to 5 feet, you need this rod. If it's going down a little deeper, it needs to be a little stouter because there's more water displacement, blah, blah, blah. And now next thing you know, you have like 7 jerkbait combos, when realistically you could throw 95% of the jerkbaits that you throw in the entire year on one combo. And so I think a lot of people get to the point where they had 5 combos, then they had 30 combos, and then they get to the point where they're like, why do I have 30 combos? I want to get back to 5 or 10. And I took that slide a couple years ago, and dude, I promise you, I probably have like active combos, rods and reels that I use on a regular basis. I probably have 7. Like,
all right, yeah.
I have really tried. I'm in a kayak. You're in a kayak. It's the same thing. I can't take. I don't have a boat. I can't take 35 rods with me. And I've really tried to say, okay, how can I build an arsenal of like versatile rods that I can go out there and I can do 3, 4, 5 things with, and I don't have to say, oh, I'm going to throw a glide bait, I'm going to throw an A rig, I'm going to throw a frog or whatever. I need 3 combos. Like, can I pare that down and get one rod and reel combo that can, in a pinch handle all of those things? And that's kind of what I've gone to. And I bet I reach for the same 4 or 5 rods 80% of the time now.
Absolutely. I'm in that. I could be wrong from outside looking in, but personally from from my own image, I feel like I'm on the downslope right now where I'm kind of trying to weed out some of the extra stuff. But with my OCD, ADHD, and all that stuff, I just kind of like every single technique you could throw. I have to have a different rod and reel setup just to be perfect for the exact specific technique. And I just like, I had a conversation, that was 3 years ago, maybe. I was on a trip at Champlain with Keith Pochet. We were fishing, and I was asking because he was letting me use some of his rods, and I was picking them all up, and I was starting to notice every single rod is a 7-foot medium heavy, and I'm like, so what do you throw for this? 7-foot medium heavy. What do you throw for that? 7-foot medium heavy. And you just get like, unless it's punching or frogging, it's a 7-foot medium heavy, and I'm like, damn, you do pretty dang well about everything you do.
Yeah,
like, man, maybe there's something here.
Yeah, it's well, the worst part then would be like, all right, if you say I need this specific rod or reel combo for this specific technique or weight, range of a bait or something, the worst feeling in the world is then going out and wanting to throw that and not having that combo with you. It's in your garage at home. I have that problem with baits where I feel like I try and take my whole, every bait I've ever bought in my entire life with me in the kayak, because my worst fear is going out there, seeing a spot and going, I have the perfect, idea of how to attack this, and I don't have the gear here to do it. That bait is in my garage or on my workbench or something. And so I kind of get the same way with rods and reels, where it's like, if I have made them as versatile as possible, I can't run into that issue as much, where it's like, man, I'd really love to throw a 1/8 ounce net here, but I don't have my rod that I specifically built for 1/8 ounce nets.
Yeah. You can get so far down the rabbit hole with stuff like that, dude, where it's, and then when you talk about like somebody like me, we're not even talking like fishing a tournament or being competitive, just in general, I call it prepared laziness, where it's, I need to have, I might be out offshore throwing, a Texas rig worm, and I might have 3 different weights that I might need like for that worm. And I'll have 3 different 7.3 medium heavies just so I don't have to retie. Yeah. And that's just, well, come on now. Let's stop.
You know what lazy. You can do? Well, not in that instance, but you know what you could do to help sometimes with not having to retie?
I don't even go there. We're not.
Just saying.
There's my hot take.
Yeah.
Snaps are stupid. That should have been my number one.
We would have just this would have been the shortest episode of Tackle Talk ever. It would have been like, all right, folks, that's our episode today.
That's it.
Beep, done. After we just had this great conversation about you should be able to disagree and not have, I would just shut it off. Be like, nope, it's over.
Everybody unfollow this guy. He's trash.
I have never seen more people. Do you remember 2 years ago, I posted a picture of a bait or of a fish that I had caught with 7 snaps on the back of a chatterbait, and the amount of people that I had that obviously they didn't understand the joke and the inside thing. My messages, I wish I would have screenshotted some of them because they were so good. It was I thought you knew what you were doing. I trusted you. And then it was
wow.
It was so funny. I was like, hey, it's okay. It's an inside joke. I really did catch that fish with 5 snaps or whatever, though. I didn't just do it for the picture or whatever. I really did go out.
It's further proving your point. Though.
Yeah. It's so funny. Okay. So that's my first one then. I think most people just have entirely too many combos realistically for the fishing that they do. And it sounds like, at least on that one, I guess we probably both agree.
Yeah. I think you can, it as simple as you want it to be. That's the one thing about fishing is you can be as crazy as you want, but you don't have to be. There's definitely a point where it becomes egregious. Not that there's anything wrong. The fishing industry thanks you for your service with your wallet, but it's there definitely comes a point where okay, man, maybe you got too much going on. When you find out that space is a problem, then that's might be where your issue is, your limit's at.
All right, what is your first opinion here you want to throw out there?
All right, so I think we've actually I believe we've talked about this before, but I think I'm talking specifically on professional bass fishing right now. It is way too damn clean. We are way too on the quotes of professional, where it's no curse words, no Matt Robertson getting fined for getting his underpants when Hanes was the sponsor of the classic that year. I'm not talking about being ugly and vulgar, but the average bass fisherman out there, for the most part, this is me bucketing somebody, but drinks beer, probably if has Zins, Like,
Yeah.
they are swearing with their buddies, not like anything crazy, but the way I look at it is like professional bass fishing is not a suit and tie, that sort of deal. Bass fishing to me, to the average person, is very NASCAR like. It is camo, it's bush, it's things along those lines of like, there's a reason why Matt Robertson has the following in the community he does, is because he's so relatable. And so I just feel like professional bass fishing almost the way I envision it is they could almost benefit from being like a barstool mentality.
I could see that.
I think it's way too, if we're trying to be too proper when it comes to with the professional side, it's like, I don't know, suit and ties for me and bass fishing do not mix, never mix. Like, we're getting our hands dirty as it is. There's no reason we need to be, white collar. It's a blue collar man sport for the most part.
Yeah, I think I semi agree with that for sure. I think that's one of those that I probably sit on the fence a little bit, because you could probably make the argument every sport you could say that about, right? Like, you could say that your average NFL fan or NBA fan or whatever is like that. But then when you listen to you listen to Josh Allen in a press conference or whatever, what's he doing? He's saying the 7 same canned responses that he's supposed to say in front of the microphone, and then, puts on his suit and goes to the bus, right? So I could say that for most things. And I think that's where you hit on some of the most popular anglers on tour right now are not the guys that are consistently in the top 3 in AOI or something. They are the personalities. It is, Iaconelli's a great example. Iaconelli is so popular because he was one of the first people to very loudly buck that trend and say, I'm okay with being the guy that GQ labels one of the most hated athletes on the planet, and I'll go on late night shows and I'll scream in front of the camera, and I will do things where, yes, I know it's making the guy beside me mad or it's ruffling a lot of feathers, but that's how you stick out and you get fans. That's why Seth Feider, like you said, Maddie, those guys are so popular, is because they do rub up against the grain a little bit, and I think people appreciate that. And then the flip side, a couple weeks ago when we had Mercer on, we were talking about, do the young guys have a personality problem? And we're doing it to them, right? Because the young guys now put this shield up because all they do is get labeled, scopers or whatever. And they've said, fine, I'm not going to partake in any of this where the internet is just so mean to me all the time. I'm going to put my hood up. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to finish in top 5 in AOI, let my fishing do the talking. And that's great to a certain point, but that doesn't help you build a fan base like being more out there and open and a personality does. And so, yeah, exactly. So there's a balance there for sure. I don't know where the right balance is, but you're definitely onto something where certain people would definitely appreciate if people became a little bit more unbuttoned.
Yeah, and look, I'm not saying it needs to be like a locker room talk, because that by no means should it be that, but like a little more trash talk, a little more like rubbing elbows, like that sort of thing, like letting loose a little bit. I think, the great point about the younger guys is, one, it's fishing is all they know, but the more you can push guys to open up and talk, like Justin Hamner is an amazing example of this.
Yeah.
Where granted, prior, he never had the assistance on the social media side, but Justin Hamner was known as kind of like the quiet guy, at least from the outside looking in, a fan perspective, was the quiet guy, new on the scene. Dude, once I got to know, granted through my job and with the podcast, got to know Hamner. He's one of the funniest dudes that I have ever met. That full well. And he's got such a good personality. And once you can just let these guys open up a little bit, of course, winning $300,000 in a classic definitely helps the guy relax. But there's so the more you can let your personality show, and that's a whole different other thing. But Ken Duke, I remember him saying this, was the downfall of bass fishing will be the loss of personality, where we're losing guys that have been like the KVDs and things like that were the personalities in fishing, but not. We got guys like Kyle Patrick coming on the scene, guys that are embracing that. Guys like Easton Fothergill are letting his personality show to the world, and it's just like you said, we got to let these guys put their guards down a little bit and be a little bit more raw and real, and that's professional bass fishing to me. It's not the mold of every pro angler gets up on stage and says, "Yeah, I ran that Skeeter Yamaha down the lake." We need to break that mold, and that's how professional bass fishing should be. It's relatable to the common guy that's working a 9 to 5, or trying to chase their dream, and at the end of the night they crack a cold bush and they put a Zen in while they're graphing the day or whatever it is. That's relatable, man. I think that's I could keep going on and on.
Are you telling me that we need less selfie videos at the takeoff saying,
you see my video making fun of that, dude? I don't.
Hey, everybody, Andrew here. We're on day 2 here on the Kissimmee chain. We had a tough day yesterday. Those fish moved a little bit, but, we're going to go out there. We're going to try our best today. We're going to go, hammer down and trying to figure them out today. Just looking for 5 key bites. If I can get 5 bites and come in and put them 5 on the scale, I'm going to feel pretty good, and we'll see how it goes. You tell me we don't need 100 of those every single morning?
I remember texting you because one morning, and this is nothing against the anglers, right? They're doing their jobs, and they know we're joking, but it is funny. There's one morning, it was tournament morning. I can't remember what day it was, like a year or 2 years ago. And I scroll onto my feed and I see one pro angler. He goes, here we are, guys, at whatever location. He goes, so excited, can't wait. We'll see where the cards fall. And then I scroll to the next video. Okay, guys, we're here, tournament day. So excited, can't wait to see what happens. And it's like 3 in a row. And I'm like, guys, what are we doing? This is carbon copying each other. And it's just like, but that's what they're taught, especially the guys that are being, the sponsor pressure to increase social media presence. And it's a step in the right direction. We just need to, one, keep letting the personality show, but let professional bass fishing be relatable, man. It's like NASCAR. They let these guys fight. I mean, that's as like close to hockey as you're going to get, man. And it's like, it's fun. I mean, that's why hockey right now is on the upswing, because they got the Spittin' Chicklets, the Barstool guys, more involved in the sport. And they let these guys swear on the cast. They let the hockey players, the pros themselves, talk crap to the commentators, post game or mid.
You're seeing it in football too. I mean, there's a reason that College Game Day has Pat McAfee now. Fox Big Noon Kickoff has the Barstool guys now. They're realizing people want that. People want a little bit more raw, a little bit more normal. They want to hear people talk like we talk. They want to hear more like, I don't know, the guy on the bar stool next to you at the bar. Yeah. Like, that's how we want to be talked to, and that's the stuff that we want to consume. And at some point, I don't know, I think that's where a lot of the animosity for a lot of the younger anglers comes too, is because they know that if those anglers are doing good and they don't quite have the personality that they've been used to, those guys are pushing out the personalities that they've watched for 20 years, right? They're going to push out eventually the Iconellis and, the people who you really enjoy watching. And if someone is coming in and you have an influx of young talent, by nature, that means somebody's got to be displaced because of that.
Yeah, I could see it from that end. It's just, I think we just need to let loose a little bit. I mean, fishing's fun in the first place. Let's not be so high strung, But
amen. All right. My next one that I'm going to move to here, I think might be controversial, especially like right now. I don't know if this has really hit as mainstream as it's probably about to next year, but I'm sure a lot of people that are really dialed in have seen that there's been some rules or controversy on whether anglers can live stream from their boats during tournaments. And my opinion on this, strictly from a business side of things, like I understand the angler side, I really do, but I don't think that anglers should be allowed to live stream from their boats during tournaments.
So I understand the perspective. Like if, say, for example, like a Bassmaster is trying to protect their partnership with Fox, and that's like within a contractual thing. I will say on the flip, I disagree, because I actually think it solves a lot of problems and does a lot of good. The more anglers that do live stream, in regards to, which I'm sure we're going to get into eventually, but like if you're live streaming your whole day for a bunch of people to see, you can't get away with anything. Like it keeps you, not saying that any anglers are going to try to be doing that, but like it removes any possible window for an angler to cheat, or when you're breaking a rule, it's much easier to hold somebody accountable or police them if they're live streaming. But also the way I look at it is, if anything, all it is sure, it might be some eyes away from a main production, whether it's MLF, Bass, whomever. But it's more eyes that likely I would go out on a limb that say that there's a good amount of people that are watching, especially like guys that are live streaming on YouTube, that we're never going to go watch FS1 anyways, or they're never going to go to Major League Fishing's website and watch, or they're never going to watch Major League Fishing's production that they put out 4 months after the tournament's over. They're not going to go and watch that. I think they follow a lot of these anglers for the anglers. They might go to MLF or Bassmaster site or NPFLs and try to find where that angler is in the standings, and then might keep up that way. But the way that the live stream, I think all it does is bring outside eyes. I mean, you look at, guys, I'm ringing off the top of my head that live in other spaces that can also cross over, but like James Watson with, military background and firearms, and Zaldane's the same way with the firearm side. And it's just me ripping off the top of my head, but like guys that live in other industries or have passions for other industries, like Polnick in the hunting side, like there might be guys that never would have gone to, say, a tournament live production, but they see that somebody they know and they follow and they support is live streaming their day. They're might come to that, and they might end up from that going to the main tournament production. So I think if anything, it's just bringing outside eyes in. But I understand if there's contractual agreements that need to be held there. But I think, like, if you got a guy that gets called out for, they think that he was cheating or he ran whatever, it's all proof right there in his live stream. It's, he can debunk whatever thing or prove that they did any wrongdoing if they're live streaming their days.
I understand from the cheating side of things. I do. And I think that's probably a good thing to just have in general. Like, why don't we have 2 GoPros on every boat that then we can export? And if there's any sort of controversy about anybody, well, you've got a front and back angle of everybody's boat all day long, and you should be able to review the footage. I don't think they have a right to broadcast that out themselves for free and work around the sport and the broadcast that someone else is putting on for them. Like, I don't think every NFL player should be allowed to go live from the sidelines during the game. If they're on offense and the defense is out on the field, I don't think the offense should all be able to get on Instagram Live and show. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that is you're not going to see that anywhere else. Steph Curry should not be allowed to pull up IG Live while he's dribbling down the court. The sport that you are a part of is the one who has the broadcasting rights to what you're doing. And if you don't like that, then go out and fish on your own and live stream and build your own audience. And you can do that, right? There's a bunch of people that have made great livings. You're doing it right now, making a living of building your own audience and broadcasting that to those folks. You shouldn't be able to use that tournament circuit to boost your broadcast, right? Like, if you want to do it on yourself in your own time, go for it. And the other thing I would say is I don't know if I necessarily buy that it's helping bring more people into the sport, because I would argue if you're dialed in enough to sit there for 3 hours and watch some dude in 70th place live fish for 4 hours a day, then you're dialed in enough to bass fishing to want to consume the main broadcast. Like, aside from friends and family maybe that just want to keep up with what they're doing, the other hard truth is like, all right, if you want a camera in your boat, do better, right? Make the championship round. Be one of the anglers that is worth covering that day because of the position you're in. I just think there is definitely a harsher side of this than just, oh, we got to do it before, why can't we continue to broadcast? It's like, well, no other sport is like that. No other sport is letting you live stream. You can't, Bryson DeChambeau can't hook a GoPro up to his hat and then broadcast his whole round for free live in any golf tournament that he's in. So I just think it's, if anything, I would guess the tournament circuits have been a little too lenient to this point, and now it's kind of a black eye because they're taking it away from them when they shouldn't have been able to do it in the first place.
The only devil's advocate I would say to that is all the other sports, especially like football, golf, all that stuff, they're making 10, 20, 30x the amount of money that these pro anglers are. And I know there was a lot of brand deals that were in place for guys to do these live streams that brought benefit to the brands, especially guys that, that live in the check cashing range of they live in that bubble of the 30 to 50s, guys that still might cash a check, but it's not enough like big money to like really go crazy, but they might have a personality and they might have a brand that's interested of like, we want to be involved in this live stream in some capacity. So I see that side of it, especially when it's only becoming harder in a sport that your winnings has never grown since the inception of the sport. It's only becoming harder to afford that. And I understand it's a privilege to be at that stage as it is, but I think they're only making it harder by not letting somebody broadcast, if that makes sense. By you lose a weapon in your arsenal to bring to a brand of how you can move the needle for them, and then in return, obviously be compensated. That's my. I know there's certain guys like a Palnick, that has follow boats. There's different ways of going about it. But like, what's to say that somebody else can't go on Palnick's channel and stream for him from another boat? Like, what is the criteria? But I think they should, in my opinion, I just think they should be allowed to. There's certain sports like the PLL where guys are rocking cameras throughout there because it's their owner, Paul Rabel, is up to a little bit more of a creator's world, if you will, the digital landscape. I mean, they are a small sport, up and coming sport, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely understand not having, although it would be hilarious to watch guys like on the NFL talking crap from the sideline when they're not in play, but like, I can only imagine stuff you'd see, but it'd be, it definitely could make things more of a mess. I can understand that.
I don't have a problem with them having a camera on the boat and like editing their tournament videos and showing it later. Like that's all totally fine. It's just, you are now competing, and I understand it from the tournament side of things. Like now our people who are in our tournaments are competing with us for the eyeballs, for the broadcast that we are putting on for this tournament, and we own the broadcast rights too. From the tournament circuit side, I think that is a weird position to be in for sure. But yeah, I knew that some of these were going to be
hard decision.
I just think it's really easy because a lot of people online, they follow a ton of pro anglers and they do all this, and you're going to see that side a lot. You're going to see a lot of the anglers be like, this is BS. Why are you taking away my ability to reach people and do these brand deals? And on the flip side, I'm guessing there is no way that the paperwork that those anglers sign, somewhere in there, it does not say that MLF or Bass or whoever has the broadcast rights to this tournament. So I would bet the people that are signing these brand deals for like, you sponsor my live stream, if they would actually read the agreements they probably take part in, I bet that's in there somewhere that they're not allowed to do it. It just hasn't been enforced up to this point. I don't know that for sure, but I would have a hard time believing that tournament circuits that big are incompetent enough not to legally guarantee themselves the broadcast rights to that tournament.
Yeah, I almost wonder if that's a lenient thing, because I remember BTL a couple of years ago gave access, or Bassmaster had given access to BTL to coincide their live stream. I think they had a viewer call-in show or something like that where they played the live stream. So that might, who knows what that even looks like. I come at that from a, not saying like professional angler, like a pro angler point of view. Like I'm pro for the angler, where I can understand if you're the trail, MLF, NPFL, Bass, I can understand like if you have a production company that, is granted all these rights, I can understand the difficult decision where it's like they probably want the anglers to be able to do this to support themselves, but they also like, it's business first for them, like in regards to if there's this big brand deal, probably need to support the brand deal. But yeah, it's a hard decision. But yeah, I'm always going to side with the anglers on something like that.
All right. What's your next one?
My next one. Let's do one that's fun here. Okay. So I have one that is, this is going to be way out there. And this, I'm not saying this should be done, but I'd be ecstatic if it was. I think all fishing electronics sales should be halted until they become part of the excise tax.
You're going to have to help me on that one.
Okay. So I kind of figured I was going to explain it in general because it got explained to me actually last year.
This is where it's like the percentage of sales goes back to conservation or something, right? Like I know the loose in it, but I did not know the electronics were not included.
Neither did I. This is when I learned this from biologists so if you go to, when you buy any fishing lures, buy rods. This is in hunting too. If you buy a bow, if you buy arrows, whatever, buy a tree stand. There's a excise tax percentage that's taken from that sale that's considered a federal tax, but it's put back into fisheries, wildlife management, things that go back into what, the resources that we fish from, hunt from, just hiking public land, things like that. It goes back into those resources. Fishing electronics. So if you go and buy a Garmin LiveScope unit, it is not part of that excise tax, which I think is a load of crap.
How are they getting around that?
Because I think it has something to do with, technically it is a GPS unit, which is factored into a different category. I'm speaking from what I think. That's not fact. I don't know what the specific reasoning is for them not being in that, but I think it needs to be changed where it needs to be part of that. Like,
if that's true, I'm on the crusade with you. I'm 100% on home team on this one. That's crazy.
Yeah, and so I can understand. I mean, you can't have a gray area in this. I think if you're on a boat and you have a GPS fish finder or something, that needs to be part of the excise tax. Like that's, and think about the boom of forward facing, dude, how much money we would have been able to then put forward to these programs for fish and wildlife from basically off the boom of electronics. Like, and the fact that we missed that window is so crazy to me.
So all fishing electronics, like you're talking like a Hook Reveal 2 or like a Garmin Striker 4 or something, like not even like,
I think if it has GPS in it, you can't, it's not part of the excise
crazy tax. There is no world where you can look me in the face and say that's marketed to anybody else other than anglers.
I think they look at ships and stuff for transportation, or like search and rescue sometimes has units that they use. They don't use it for fishing applications at all, but it's so I mean, granted, look, I'm not a professional in this area. This just was repeated to me that at least when it got on the topic of like forward facing, especially, like it wasn't part of the excise tax. And I think that is a load of crap.
Ain't no Coast Guard boat using a Striker 4 to find a capsized boat 10 miles off the coast of Florida. That ain't happening. Like, that's crazy. I could understand, like, I know Garmin makes multi-purpose stuff, so like, they make the watches and the golf stuff where you can range find, like all that kind of stuff. I understand that to a certain point where you can look me with a straight face and say this is marketed to more than just anglers, but they have so many things that are clearly angler specific. Like forward facing is a great example. Oh, I'm supposed to believe that there's a giant group of people that are using that for, like, I don't know, car recovery in rivers or something. Like that's 0.00002% of the people that are using that.
I just quickly fact checked myself. So there is, I should have looked this up before, some fishing electronics that are subject to a federal excise tax. Not all of them.
Well, it should be all.
It should be all of them. But I was told by a biologist that like anything forward facing, some of these transducers, not part of it, which is crazy to me. And it's only a 3% excise tax or stuff like that. Whereas I'm looking at it right now. So like
fishing's like 10, right?
Say what?
Isn't like fishing gear like 10 or something like that?
It's pretty high. It's different depending on what category it is. Like right now, 10% is on most sport fishing equipment, including rods, reels, artificial lures. The tax on any single fishing rod or pole is capped at $10, which that's actually weird. But like 11% on firearms, 10% on pistols, revolvers, 3% on electric outboard motors, and tackle boxes are 3%. So it's like, who made these up?
Plano's got a great lobbyist in DC somewhere. They're like, listen, guys, our margin on these pieces of plastic that we sell for $30 that we make for $2, we can't afford more than 3%, guys. Come on, help me with this. That's crazy. Yeah, that's a whole different side of the fishing world that I get a little bit of a snippet at, and honestly, it's from ICAST is usually when I get a lot of this stuff, because that's the American Sport Fishing Association or whoever puts that on. They always do like the seminars on understanding your excise tax and all that, and that's the first time that I really started to realize that, hey, there is organizations whose whole job it is to make sure that all that stuff is happening. But the fact that, I could get an LVS 34 or whatever, and they're not paying toward the excise tax is crazy to me.
Crazy, dude. I mean, we talked about that at the Black Bass Symposium, which is like the meeting of the minds of all the biologists across the country. And when that came up, I'm like, why is this? Why? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
That blows my mind. It's like going to, buy a rangefinder and tell me that it's not used for hunting. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Their lobbyists need a raise. Good job on them, I guess. All right, I agree with you on that one 100%. Yeah. That's wild. Okay, my next one here, we'll stick on forward-facing for a second. I've been pretty consistent over the past probably year or two that I think forward-facing sonar and live sonar in general is not a tournament issue. It is a state issue and a wildlife agency issue that we should be pursuing. If you feel strongly about forward-facing, your ire should not be at Major League Fishing, Bass, the MPFL, whatever. It should be at your state agency.
I could not agree more. The people that attack anglers, especially anglers that are pro anglers, like fishing for a living, like blows my mind that you'd ever want to attack the angler when they're not the ones they're playing by the rules that they're given.
Yeah.
It's like perfect example. And I say this because I love the tush push because I'm an Eagles fan. But it's like the people are mad about the Eagles doing the tush push when if the rules, they're not going to not do it.
Right.
But it's like, yeah, dude, I'm with you. And this is where I think another reason or another topic, I'm glad I'm not the one making the decisions, because this can vary depending on if you're talking bass, if you're talking muskie, if you're talking walleyes. Because I'm sorry for folks, but like I have many friends in the walleye space. They say they never ever hear a lick of negativity about forward facing in the walleye space. Everyone is on board for the majority. They love it. They want nothing to happen. Crappie fishing, you kind of have a mix of emotions there, similar to bass, but mostly people love it. And it's every region's different. Like you go down to Florida and the Bayou, Louisiana, and it's really not a factor as much. Where it's like the Great Lakes, obviously, it's going to be a big factor. In Texas, it's going to be a big factor. It depends on where you're at of how much it's being utilized. And it's just like when you go to the A-rig conversation, Minnesota's allowed 1 hook. New York's allowed 5. And it's just like, it needs to be up to people that actually have, and it blows my mind that people try to argue this point, but it needs to be up to the biologists, the people that actually have a credible scientific background when it comes to the impacts of this thing, which was like at the symposium, all these biologists from all over the country, of course, forward facing came up. And they said the one problem, especially in the bass fishing side of things, is we can't really deem it an impact on bass fishing when bass fishing is such a dominant catch and release. You don't see an actual impact on the fish unless they put trackers in every single fish that exists to see what delayed mortality might be on the release of that, fish, where it's like on crappie and walleyes, they can better see a impact, negative or positive, on the usage of forward facing, because majority of the time you're keeping those fish. You're taking from the resource.
Yeah.
So that's where it has to be run and made the decision by the state. And that's where it's like a hard decision, because it might become like the A-rig, where certain states you might go into and you have to remember by reading state regulations, you can't use it in this state. This state, you're only allowed to use it from June to October because it's after whatever that may be. So it's definitely not a tournament issue. It's a topic of tournament, but it is not an issue of the tournament trail.
Yeah, we should not be pointing the gun at Major League Fishing, Bass, NPFL to be the great deciders of whether this is sporting or not, or ethical or not, or problematic. Like you said, they should be playing by the rules that the agencies deem. Like there's a reason that the state of Ohio tells me I can't spotlight deer at night, because it's not sporting and it's their job to protect the ethicalness, I guess, of hunting. The thing that's weird to me though is like when the biologists say, hey, we can't really say anything on regulations because bass fishing is such a catch and release sport and it's not hurting the fishery. Neither was an Alabama rig.
Yeah.
It's still the same bass that we're fishing for that we're catching and releasing. So I don't buy that for a second. Like it's not I don't know what the holdup is, but I think nobody wants to be the first to do it. I think no state wants to be the one, which is ironic because I feel like most of the time there are states that are chomping at the bit to be the first at the to implement some sort of ban or something, right? Like, oh, you can't use lead here because we care about this microscopic zooplankton or something that one person found in 1825, so you can't use lead anymore. Like there are a lot of states that would love to be that, I think. So I don't know what the holdup is. I don't know if it is a money deal where in the back channels they're talking to people and being like, "Yep, but
no excise tax. So why are we worried about the money?" I think if they made it an excise tax thing, we're like, buy forward facing.
But you're fishing for the same bass. So like whatever state, if you say you can only use one hook on an Alabama rig, you had no problem regulating how I could catch those fish to release them. That's not making any impact on the bass fishery either, whether I catch it on, 9 hooks on a jerkbait or 5 hooks on an Alabama rig. It doesn't matter. I'm still releasing that fish. Same thing with, I don't understand it. I don't get it. There's got to be something that we're not seeing or we're not understanding. I just think nobody wants to be the first to jump in the pool.
I genuinely do think that there are people, based on my conversations and listening into group sessions at that symposium, that I think if it were up to them, they'd have it banned yesterday in certain states, up to certain biologists. But what was cool, at least about that environment, with people that they might disagree with each other, like this conversation here, they handle it like adults. And they actually, there was an individual, I'm trying to remember his name. I think he was from Washington, was one of the state agents, that he himself owned it, used it, believes it should be banned. But he said, we can't do that because we don't have enough. He goes, it might be my opinion to ban it, but he goes, we don't have the amount of years credible to actually have a concrete opinion on if this is beneficial or a detriment to the sport. He goes, I might not like a certain brand of apparel, but it doesn't mean that they shouldn't be allowed to sell just because I don't like it. If there actually has to be like, oh, that apparel gives people diseases, like that's like there has to be a foundational reason, a negative to put something in motion to get rid of or not allow. Which it goes back to the A rig, where it's like,
so I think what were the negatives of the other 2 hooks on my Alabama rig then?
I think the A rig is just that anomaly, bro. I would bet more money that the A rig would be allowed back nationally before anything ever gets done, if ever, on forward facing.
Yeah, I would probably take that bet.
And I don't have much faith in either of those happening.
Free the A rig.
There you go. There's your T-shirt. Tackle Talk, free the A rig. I like it.
But no, I think it lies with the state, and I don't understand why more people aren't focusing their ire on the state agencies and not tournament circuits.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. What's your next one?
All right. So this is to my kayak people. I think in the past few years, let's call it 4 or 5 years, there has been way too much emphasis on the innovation of what you're putting on your kayak than actually the kayaks themselves. And I'll caveat that with kudos to FluxJet, because they're the first ones that really started putting something in motion to improve and also be creative in the actual vessels themselves. Which also want to give them a shout out to, from what I've been keeping up with, their kayak is freaking sick. And they got a lot of hate and a lot of doubt off the get-go, and they went and have been doing a hard push from at least outside looking in, not speaking with them. They did a lot of content and like going after some of the people that had allegations against the kayak, that it seems like the perception has really been positive, especially as of late for the FluxJet. And so kudos to them. But like, we just have been working with the same kayaks over and over. And it's just like adding small things here and there we're going in the opposite direction, I feel like, of when it comes to quote unquote innovation, like building a bass boat front deck on a boat. Like, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to not fish from it, but I just don't think those are the kind of things we need to make sure our kayaks aren't breaking and leaking before we can go and start adding more things to it. So it's, we have a QC problem in kayak fishing more than we do anything else.
A couple of the big dogs currently have some big QC problems. Yeah. I 1000% agree with this one too. This is it's a reality and a gripe that I have sometimes with fishing in general, which is we have hit the point where now innovation, and I'm air quoting that for people that, are just listening at home, it's micro changes. It's not trying to look at it as a visionary, not trying to look at it with a blank slate. Like, I always kind of make the comparison, like, pretend you're an alien and you just got dropped down on Earth. You have no preconceived notions about anything. How would you build something to get me out there on top of the water to catch fish? And we always work within this box of what we've seen before. And so we just try and make incremental changes on things, when it takes somebody to really say, nope, I see this a completely different way. And a lot of those people are going to fail, but you need those people to push everything forward and actually have something cool and really innovative out there. And kayaking is a great example. I would love to see more people focus on hull shape and hull design, and how do you make a hull that can increase the actual realistic hull speed of that kayak without, wanting to tip up, like solving the trim issue on certain things. There's a lot of that I would love to see people attack. It's a gripe that I've had for a couple of years now with the couple companies that make kayak motors. I think they have coasted on a design that works. It ain't broke, don't fix it, but they are not trying to innovate it at all because they have a chokehold on the market. And it takes somebody like, I think his name's Jason over at FluxJet, to come out and say, hey, I can make something completely different that should at least scare you guys into saying, okay, let's really innovate this. There's so many things on my NK 180 Pro that I wish I could snap my fingers and change, but they just are never going to do it because they lead the market right now.
Yeah, like last the season. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do
have a competent
for real
warranty system. Yeah, no, but where the quick connects are, right? Heaven forbid. When they went from 180 to 180 Pro, they changed some things, but they took away a couple of the only things that were actually good about the 180 to begin with. And then they messed up other things. Like there's really, some of that is just an example of there's not enough competition to drive those people to truly make their product better. They just come out with V2 so they can continue to sell them, and the prop's a different color, and we changed this and that a little bit, and boom, version 2, now you guys have to buy it because we slap Pro on the back of it. Where I wish there were more people, like you said, like FluxJet, that were really trying to do something different. I agree with you.
Doing something meaningful, not just, it's there's a couple things we need to do, from that regard. And again, this is an idea show. Glad I'm not the ones, because I don't have the brains to make it better. Right. I can tell you.
Really easy for us to say sitting here.
Well, really, dude, it's really not a challenging concept. The hardest part is obviously coming up with a solution, but you have your roadmap in front of you. It's, if you would just listen to the kayak angler specific, and this is for all facets of fishing, but if you would just listen to the main pain points and the gripes, your roadmap's right there on what to go focus on. It's really not hard. It's not making these things more expensive to price out more people out of kayak fishing, which was once it still is. Don't get me wrong. I shouldn't say that. I should backtrack on it. It's still very accessible. But when the cool, shiny objects are super expensive that get all of the media attention, I'll say, that's when it makes somebody perceive it as a non-accessible sport.
Which is why you need more people innovating and more competition in the innovation side, so that a Garmin can't come out with the only new motor in the past 5 years and charge $18 bajillion for it. They wouldn't be able to do that if there were other options out there to push them to lower their price and make it more accessible. But there aren't. And so right now you can get away with that. That's why I wish there was just more. I wish there was more than 3 or 4 people making kayak motors. I wish there was more than, 10 realistic kayak companies, because competition helps a lot of these pain points that we have right now. And the FluxJet guy is, at least from what I know from him, from talking to him down in Florida and some things, yes, the motor system is cool. He also was just one of those guys that reached out to a lot of anglers and like, hey, what do you hate about your kayak? And let me just open source some ways to fix it. And so he had like a lot of features on that kayak that I don't think got any play, that when I was down there looking at it, I was like, that's pretty darn cool. He had a recessed option where you could put your live scope transducer under that kayak to protect it, versus like having to completely, how like normally you have to, pull it up or whatever. I know you have like a sniper mount or something where you're pulling it up horizontal. He had like a thing where, I wish I still had the pictures, but I remember being like, why aren't you talking about that? That's super cool. There was the recessed mount for the actual transducer that does side and down. And then there was also a recessed spot for your actual live scope transducer. That's cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even realize that. Dude, all we've been seeing in recent years is, hey, we're coming back with the same kayak. We added a rail on it now. Wow, cool. All right. We could have done that and probably have been doing that to begin with. So it's just like, it's just, there's reasons why like a Crescent did so well out the gate, is because it was affordable. You could beat the crap out of them. And obviously they're going to break eventually, just like boats. They're some of them are going to break eventually, especially if you don't take care of them, whatever, but you get your usage out of them. The reason why I like new canoes still sell is because they're cheap, affordable, and you can beat them up. Where it's when people go spend $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in a kayak, they expect that they should be able to probably manhandle a little bit and not worry about something breaking and sinking. And then you have to go through this absolutely just nightmare customer experience of trying to either replace it, get it fixed, whatever have you. And I think I say this as a challenge to let's focus on these issues and push forward. But really, it's not as big of an issue as we say it is. It's more like, again, this is the hot take show where it's just not to deter anybody from the kayak fishing space, because there's a lot of people out there with kayaks, brands of kayaks that I've never heard of before, and they are kicking my tail, and they're having a great time doing it, and it's all the power to them, man. It's awesome. But I think the main players, though, like it's a call out. Like, hey, we're kind of standing still right now. We're not really. You guys are doing things to do them. It doesn't look like you're doing things with purpose. We're like FluxJet. There's a purpose there.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why the past year plus I've been in a Crescent Shoalie. Like, I liked the idea that they worked with Drew and they were like, hey, put some Easter eggs in here on like some pieces that actual anglers want. Like a recessed spot down there for your catchboard or whatever. Or like there's a little indent right under the seat that I had no idea what it was for. And then I heard someone say one time, it perfectly fits those little line cutters things that people will use. Like there's a recess spot for that. There's all these like little hidden pieces on it where someone that actually fishes was like, hey, I wish I had these 8 things on here. And they did. The little rail mounts right where if you wanted to put the paddle across your lap like type thing, there's little mounts right there where you could actually do it if you want and put your little clips versus it always being on the right or the left side. I think there was some cool stuff. The little captain's bridge type piece right in front of you that I mounted my screen on. I wish more people would actually involve anglers, because I've had a lot of kayaks over the year where I could tell almost immediately when I sat in it that they didn't ask anybody who knew anything about kayak fishing, about this design and layout before they just went to market. My Old Town was a good example. There were a lot of things on that Old Town that I'm like, if you would have just asked even someone like me, you could have fixed it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and it's like, that's a great point. Like there's a lot of brands that are seemingly they're rushing to be putting out something with the label of new versus taking the time to do something that's meaningful. Where it's like, I feel like Old Town, I feel like they did a great job with that EPDL, because in a time when motors are the rave, somebody that didn't want a motor or didn't want to go buy that, then buy the battery and set it all up, they had a means to compete speed wise and even make long treks easier with that. But they put, in my opinion, they put more press and push around their Fire Tiger colored pattern of a kayak than they did the EPDL. Granted, the EPDL is a little expensive, but that was way cooler and different thinking than the rest. So it's like, I just think priorities need to be aligned. That's all it is. There's still amazing things happening right now in the fishing space, kayak fishing space. I'm trying to remain optimistic of the Bass Pro Shops buying out Hobie, and hopefully, hey, there's small wins, right? I mean, the manufacturing's back in the States now. So we'll see. Hopefully things look up, and either way, that's long-winded, but yeah.
Yep, I agree. The next thing I'm going to say here, I don't know if this is necessarily a hot take at this point, but I feel like people were reluctant to accept it for a couple years, and I think hopefully we're close. I think Jacob Wheeler is a Mount Rushmore angler today.
I'm trying to think who else would sit up there. Obviously, you got Kevin Klon. I mean, what he has done in such short of time against the caliber of guys, like, it wasn't like he was fishing the Major League Fishing format years before all these guys came over. They all start at the same time. They all have the same adjustment period for the most part. I don't see why he wouldn't be. I mean, when you look at the actual,
the numbers are insane.
Oh my, yeah. It's like it is. If you put it in, like, I was about to say hockey terms, people don't really understand save percentage, but I'll put it in more relative terms of baseball. Like your hitting percentage, his hitting percentage,
batting average, I think is.
Yes, thank you. That's the actual. That shows how much I know about baseball. That is, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. He's Tiger in his prime right now. It's domination that in the window that you're looking at, I don't know. I mean, we've only seen maybe once, if you want to stretch it twice ever. And there's 4 faces on Mount Rushmore.
Dude, he's killing it, not just in... Obviously, the most glaring one is the tournament performance. But like the media side, the content side, he's killing it on all fronts, dude. Like the man is...
The product side. I mean, you took a legacy brand like Rapala and who had never done soft plastics really ever, and that has stuck. Like, those baits are here to stay. I think a lot of people, you know, if they would have just came out with them and you wouldn't have had that face behind it, or I think they would have like been a flash in the pan. Those are going to be here for a decade plus.
Yeah, I was a little unsure about the whole Crush City thing, but I could tell you, I mean, that's from people that have no affiliation with Rapala. When you see all that Crush City plastics in there, there's a reason, and not even just the jig head minnow craze, but like there's a reason why I've seen guys not pick up what is the Rage Menace anymore and pick up that cleanup crop. It's just, and that sounds like a lot of it was his brain getting put into that. Yeah, I mean, I'm with it. You definitely might meet some backlash to it, but I feel like you have to, just for the given accolades right now. When you look at that list of guys, I think literally the only thing he's missing is a classic.
Yeah. The amount of wins that he's hung up since 2019 in MLF like is insane. And people need to remember, like, MLF poached the top, whatever, how many people went over at the beginning? It was like 100, right?
Something, yeah.
Yes, they poached basically the top 100 anglers in the world. Like, they took like the live golf approach, which was like throw the bag at them and they will come. And they went and got the biggest names in bass fishing. It's not like he went and joined some, you know, scrub tournament like this.
He didn't go to his local club tournament getting, you know, top 5 finishes out of 5 boats. It was
these were the guys that were good enough to want to be stolen. And
Kevin Van Dam's,
he's beating them every other week.
Yeah. Against different fields, and even against guys that are up and coming that are ridiculous, like the Drew Gills and Shuffields. And I mean, he's just still lighting it up every year. I mean, it's almost like it's the scene from Thanos, the I am inevitable. Like, that's just that's the theme of Jacob Wheeler, because it's like every new tournament you go to, it's like you look at the standings, you're more shocked to see him in the 10 to 20s than you are to see him in the top 10.
Yeah. 4 out of the last 5 anglers of the year, 9 wins, I believe, 9 or 10 now. And
how many of those were second,
side.
Third, fourth? Like,
yeah, insane. I really think if there are 4 pictures you get to put on the bass fishing Mount Rushmore, I think he's got to be up there now.
Yeah, for me, he doesn't take over Kevin. Not yet.
No. But I think there's a real case to be made for definitely 3. He's getting there for 2. Like, most people are probably going to say Kevin, Clun, and then the jury is kind of out on 3 and 4 a little bit.
Yeah.
He's definitely 4, if not 3, creeping on 2 in a couple of years.
I mean, I have no arguments there, dude. Because look where he's at too. He's not like he's talking about, I might hang it up soon. It's more of like,
no, he's got decades left.
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm getting into the sport, or I'm around his age. I'm like, damn, I got to deal with that guy for that much longer. That's like,
can you imagine though if he just like went in a couple Bass Opens and tried to jackpot his way into a classic?
I don't think that is not possible.
I asked him one time when we had him on, and he obviously wouldn't say it, but I was like, dude, if I were you, I would want to just like, you know, find a couple Opens you feel pretty confident in, see if you can hang up a dub, and who knows? I mean,
if they come to Chickamauga, anywhere in the TVA, I mean, really, it's Jacob Wheeler. It doesn't really matter anywhere. But they go to one of those, dude, I would not be surprised. I'd be more shocked if he wasn't in it.
It'd be cool to see.
It would be.
All right. So that's my next one. What's yours?
So I have this one. This is obviously off of recent. People follow my social. I put out the video last week once this episode gets up. But right now, this is just social media in general. But this is also just obviously being close to us in the fishing space. But social media, people celebrate. I shouldn't say celebrate, but give more attention to the drama and the negative than they do actually celebrating, supporting the people doing the right way with integrity. And that's a human nature issue, but I think that right now is like, and that was my challenge that I put out to people when the whole kayak cheating thing was happening, is like, look, it's like the walleye stuff too, man. They got so much more attention than any other good story ever got from a news and attention standpoint on social media, where I'm just challenging folks when you see something of like so-and-so angler DQ'd, so-and-so whatever cheating. If you see negative stuff, people just talking crap about each other. Look, it's entertaining. I'm not going to sit here and say that righteous, that it's a bad thing. It's entertaining, right? I mean, everybody enjoy. There's a reason why reality shows are still a big thing. Like, drama is entertaining, but I urge folks, for every negative or seemingly dramatic thing that they see, especially in our own community, the fishing space, go and comment, support 2, 3, 4, 5 times as many other people that you see. It can be as simple as like, somebody is a good person. They're working hard at doing things the right way. It can be as simple as send them a DM saying, "Hey man, keep up the great work." Drop it in a comment on their page, that sort of thing, just to boost the opposite side. Because like when outsiders and especially new anglers come into fishing and all they see is us talking about cheating and drama and things like that, it's not the most inviting thing. Where they come in, they find somebody's real, just top of mind right now. There's a buddy of mine, Fish Like Mike. A lot of people might know his page, where I call him the American Steve Irwin, just because his page. He might be somebody that is really good at getting new anglers and new people into fishing, just because he's very kind of, I don't want to call him entry level, but he's receptive to just the basics and the general opening dynamic of fishing. Where if they see that and they see us supporting somebody who's doing good like that, that's being positive for the sport, it's much more welcoming than if they go and they see somebody sawing off a kayak to go cheat in a kayak tournament. It's, that sort of deal. It just, to me, that weighs on me, because the way I put it was, drama and negativity does absolutely nothing for our sport. But even something as simple as going on somebody's social media, or even if you see them in person and making a comment, compliment, something of like, "Hey, keep up the great work," that does something. It might be a minuscule effect, but enough of it. It's a whole ripple effect theory, dude, where it's just that pushes us to something. You're actually making an impact. And so I guess it's not really a hot take. That's more of the reality right now. And we need to change that if we want to keep the fishing industry going forward.
So I think I understand. I get it. At one point, the drama and the negativity and stuff, a little bit of that is baked into the cake, and you need that in any sport and anything that's entertainment driven, right? You need yin and yang. You need a little bit of like the drama. There's a reason that ESPN runs, with stories and stuff all day long, and you can watch First Take or do whatever. Like, you need that side of things for sure, because if we don't have that, then we're too boring, kind of to the beginning of our conversation, where it's like, all right, then there's no personality. Everything's bland. Everything's positive, and you don't have the contrast. But you need people to cover both. And that's what we're not getting right now, because you don't have traditional media anymore. Now the media is some guy who bought a microphone and who can scream the loudest about the latest cheating scandal or the latest, whatever. And that's the incentive structure to get clicks, to get paid, to make a living, is who can be the loudest amplification of the negativity. And that's the person that people know. That's the person that people tune into their reels to watch them in their truck on the way to work complaining about, whatever it is, or this inside information that I know from MLF or Bass or something that you don't know, and I'm going to be the first one to tell you about the rumors that I hear or whatever, right?
And
we all
know anti-positivity,
we all know those people. And those people are in place because, again, that is the incentive structure right now, is that you get popular by only focusing on the stories that are going to get you clicks and traction. And back in the day when you had real media, you had, like a Field and Stream or someone like that, where those people were more popular. those people had a duty to cover both. They were covering informational, they were covering positive, and they would probably cover some of the black eyes in the sport, and they would treat it like news. Now it's not news anymore. Now it is reality television, and it's drama, and it's just who can be the loudest screaming voice. And I think that's the problem we have right now is these YouTubers or, online media or whoever they are, they've made a living by only covering the negative. And that's the problem.
Yep. Absolutely. They see that first YouTube check and they get hungry for all of that. When it comes to it, and this is the caveat, is I think that, like, especially like the cheating stuff, things like the rule breakers, like, that needs to be talked about, because I was pressured on that post by a few folks of saying, no, this guy needs to be put on blast. I agree. I'm just not going to do it myself.
It's not our place to do it.
Right. They're getting dragged, and they're getting dragged rightfully so. I do think those people need to be held accountable, because that's how we police it. That's how we get people afraid. Potential folks in the future won't do it. You hope anyway, because of that. So I think that's important. But like you just said, if you're going to go and cover that, go cover Trip Berlinski taking his college bracket check and returning it back to the town that was impacted by the hurricanes. If you're going to cover that negative, you better be covering that positive too, because it's like yin and yang, man. It's just like, if you have a YouTube channel out there or social media where all you have is smoke by you, and every single one of your videos has zero positive impact because you're covering drama or negativity, you know who you are. Like, you're doing nothing but a disservice to the entire fishing community. And then most people that I know that watch those pages, they do it because, like we were saying, it's entertaining. They know that they know what it is. It's just it's like how do you call it? When you see fireworks, you can't not look at it.
Yeah, it's like a train wreck. Yeah, it's like, yes, you have to look at the train wreck. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's and then I think what happens, at least I'll speak for myself, I don't know about you, but for me, I then see that and I retreat back into my, like, well, then I'm just not going to touch it at all. Like, as a bass fishing show that both of us have, built for the past 4, 5, 6 years, we should be able to cover both, and we should be able to talk about both. But what happens is when I see something like what just came out, I see everybody rush to do the sensational thing and capitalize on the clicks or whatever. And then I go, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about that, because everybody else is already doing it. I don't want to be a part of that thing. And then it just leans to me being like, tomorrow's episode. So when people are listening to this, we're recording this the day before last week's episode comes out, and all this stuff is breaking this weekend. I'm doing a whole 45 minutes on jerkbaits, because I don't even want to touch or be a part of any of that type of thing when, yeah, I have feelings and I feel like that stuff should be called out, but it just leads to, like, that side of things is so saturated, the negativity and the quote unquote covering the news of whatever it is. It's like, I don't even want to touch it anymore. I just don't want to talk about it at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to put out there too, like, with Serious Angler, we've talked about stuff like that in the past. Like, I want to say maybe a couple times. Well, even as a group, we're like, this just doesn't feel right. And so we've never touched it since. And it's just been one where it's just like, this industry has a select few that like to push that narrative of negative, and we're going to be the anti of that. We're going to be the positive voice. And I'm not telling people to go and completely ignore anything negative they see. Like, it's good to see this stuff, note it, whatever, understand what's happening. But it's just more of a call to go support those that are doing the right things. Go listen to a Tackle Talk podcast and support, the good shit that you're doing. Excuse my French, but like the stuff that people are doing in the industry that is positive. It's okay to watch the reality show, but make sure that you're going and watching something or supporting something meaningful.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. And that's why I think I said at the beginning of the episode here, like, I mean, you are one of those people that I feel like has risen above that, and you have the integrity to be like, nope, I would rather do something meaningful and have a good positive episode and a positive message versus, the devil on your shoulder that goes, you know what, if you would just talk about this for 20 minutes, you would make 4 times the money that you would by doing the positive episode you're going to do tomorrow. And you just have to, like, I don't know. I have just retreated so far from that type of stuff. I don't even want to be a part of it. And I know you guys have kind of taken that approach too. There's only a handful of people that I think have really done that.
There's it's a dangerous person that is who doesn't care about their reputation and their lasting. I hate to use the term legacy, because legacy to me includes a sort of fame, and that's not what I am or never want to have. It's more of the people that do know you and the people you come in contact with. Do they want to know you as somebody that always talks negatively and all you did is spread rumors, or do they want to know you as the guy that had fun fishing, spread that positive message? It's that's all it comes down to. But sorry, we're getting long-winded.
Nope, I agree. Yeah. Okay, so that takes me to my last one here, and I don't want to take this the route of like some of the situations we just talked about. I just think from a pure black and white standpoint, I think fishing is the easiest sport to cheat at, and it's not even close. And then I think part two on that is that if we really try and mitigate that and we try to adjust the sport so that you can't cheat at it, it's almost not realistic to implement all of those measures to make you not be able to cheat at it. So you change the sport so much that it's not the thing that you enjoyed watching in the first place. I think it's a tough position that fishing is in, where there's a lot of honor system, there's a lot of time by yourself, there is a lot of area for manipulation, and there's a lot of gray area in certain rules. And I think there's hardly any other sport where you could cheat so discreetly and possibly not get caught for decades.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about it from the lane of like, how could you go about this? The like the fish basket stuff. In reality, we've seen some people get busted because somebody comes along and it's floated to the top or whatever. Like in reality, especially if you have an accomplice, which I'm sure many have gotten, for the people that have gotten busted in the past, I'm sure there's accomplices that have gotten away scot-free. But like, if you think about it, especially grassroots trails, you have somebody that's like, hey, if you come down to the dock and just hand me this little basket of fish, we'll split the winnings. Like that in reality is probably not a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say, it definitely, the tournament deal is a honor system. That's for dang sure. And then you get in the information rule. That's even harder, police, which there's definitely people out there seeking it, but it's also a hard deal if you have some of those information rules in place for tournament trails. I've been around guys, like I would travel with Destin Marion for a couple weeks when he was back on the Elite Series. And just these simple things of like when he'd pull up to a gas station near one of the fisheries, he had an event coming up. It was like a pre-practice. And like, oh, are you fishing so-and-so lake? And they see his boat and the wrap and the logos. He's like, oh yeah, this. It is so hard to like, you almost kind of come off as I don't want to say a jerk, but like when somebody starts to talk about a lake, you're like, hey man, I can't, like you have to stop them, and they kind of get caught off guard. It's a hard thing. So it's like, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of window for cheating in fishing, which goes back to like the live stream thing. It's like, the more you have that, the less room you're giving somebody to have the opportunity to, which is why I'm glad I film everything that I fish for my tournament stuff. Because if I do it, it's out there. You know what I mean? Like you're seeing everything. So but yeah, it is for specific things, dude. You could make it very easy.
Yeah, I think the problem with fishing is that the arena is too big. Like where the sport is taking place is so physically large, like the lake is so big that you can't have eyes on everybody at every given time. And so that's obviously part of the problem. You almost need like a mass surveillance system to be able to handle all this. You need like Big Brother up in the sky watching every move that everybody's doing. Yeah, that's what you need, because any other sport, all right, football, yeah, you've got 100 yards to keep watch of, and you have a bajillion eyeballs on everybody at every given time. With fishing, there's so many times you're half a mile away from the nearest human. Like you can't be policed. Yeah, you can't be policed all the time at any given time. And then even if you recorded everything, how are you actually going to have enough time for people to watch and consume all of that stuff to make sure that they're catching every little thing? There's like so many little sleight of hand things that you could do to give yourself an advantage, that even if you were you had 4 angles on the boat. Someone would find a way to have an angle where you're not catching that on the screen and they're slipping, an egg sinker in the fish's mouth or something. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that you could do that is just unpoliceable. And that's what makes fishing, it sets us back a little bit, because that's why there will never be online gambling in fishing. That's why there will never be any of this stuff. I mean, that's the reason the NBA, they just had that whole scandal come out about the point shaving and the mobs and all that kind of stuff, was like, because it hurts the integrity of the sport. And when your integrity is called into question, then everything else starts to crumble. And so that's the problem with fishing, is that the integrity almost can never not be called into question because of the nature of the sport and how much seclusion there is and how much secrecy there is in it for every competitor.
Yeah, dude. I mean, who was the guy that had a guy like in a scuba suit under a dock, like he flipped in there? Do you remember this one? The guy that
Tony Christian.
There you go. Yes. Can you imagine like how bad it would have been though? Like if you accidentally hook him and you have to somehow like explain why there's a scuba diver out there. It's absurd.
Sorry.
But yeah,
I was just in here looking for golf balls and I accidentally snagged him with my Pointer 100. Sorry.
And that's not like to deter anyone from it, the competitive side, because look, 99.99% of anglers are doing things the right way.
Right.
Sure, there can be gray areas from a rule standpoint, but when it comes to implicit cheating, like there's very, 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 very minuscule amount of people that do it, and they always get found out. Just about dang near always.
We hope.
You'd hope anyway. But it definitely is an easier. I mean, like hunting and fishing, like you said, you nailed it with the arena is just so big. Like on the hunt side, like how many people probably go in there at night and kill a deer, take it off, and use a barn tag, and they have no idea that it ever happened. That one buck that doesn't show up on trail camera anymore, probably
roadkill. Yeah, it's probably got hit on the highway.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's more so like I just don't know if the sport of fishing is able to have all of that stuff rooted out because of what fishing is. Like, I think unless you want to,
the only way you do it is you can't win money anymore.
Or you'd have to like just completely rethink what tournament fishing is. Like, is tournament fishing now, 1v1 on a small body of water where everybody is watching these people and you're on a glorified gravel pit or something and you have eyes on them at all given times and you shrink the arena? I don't know.
I mean, this obviously doesn't help the scuba suit idea, but like you have everybody that you have to take your top 5 for whatever your bag is, and you have to have proof of it on video.
Yeah.
That might be
that's what, like,
way
I think some of the kayak stuff's starting to try and do, right? Like, you have to have a video of you releasing the fish and all that kind of stuff. But even then, like on the kayak side, they make you have the metadata on your picture of where that picture was taken and what time. You can edit all of that stuff. Like,
you can edit that now, but it's also where you submit it too. It's not even where you catch it or where you take the picture.
But I mean, like, people are going to get so good. It's like with generative fill on Photoshop, for instance. I could take the identifier. I'm not trying to broadcast to anybody could cheat or anything, but I mean,
somebody already got busted doing that, dude.
But like,
a fish.
Yeah, you could just change the number on your hand in half a second with AI. It's like, I don't know what you do. There's almost no way. It has to be honor system, and because it has to be honor system, that's what's going to kneecap our sport from growing in the future.
I'm telling you, this is the advantage of somebody that films. You can prove everything. It's all out there. Because I've only ever once in my entire life, did somebody think that I was cheating. This was years ago, like 2018, 2019. I was still in college. It was one of the first kayak tournaments I'd fished in a long time since I left high school. And it's like, I don't know. It was one of the bigger ones at the time because like our local circuit, I started fishing it the first year. There was like 7 of us. It was me as like this 16-year-old kid and a bunch of 40-year-old dudes. It was awesome. It was the OG crew. But either way, it was like the biggest tournament they've had in a long time, like 32 guys. It was on Cayuga. This was back when it was a 3-fish limit. And it wasn't even like for Cayuga standards. We were just typically like monster bags. I caught like 3 19s in the first 30 minutes, had them submitted. And this one guy called the tournament director and said, this kid's cheating. He had him boxed up, had him hold up. And at that time, thank gosh, I was filming everything. And the tournament director who knows me knows that I'm a good person. Well, I might not be a good person, but I'm not going to cheat.
You're not that bad of a person. Yeah,
I am an Eagles fan. I might not be a good person. But he was like, He's like, well, you can see it on his YouTube video later if you want. It's just like, that's the advantage, at least to that. I mean, I urge everybody, like, if people are not saying people call you out, but it definitely helps. It never hurts to film because you can at least prove where it's like, oh, you caught this out of bounds. And it's right there.
People might not know this. The first kayak tournament I ever competed in, I got DQ'd.
Oh, really?
Yep.
For what?
I didn't have a life jacket on.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that'll happen.
Womp womp. I was in 7 inches of water, but it doesn't matter. You got to have your life jacket on. But yeah, right. I didn't know. The first tournament that I'd ever fished, I also, on one of my fish, even before that happened, I had my hand over the gill or something, and you're not supposed to have like it there. So like, it was a learning curve for sure. But
absolutely.
Yeah, I just
that's
happened
very
to be
common though, like for people new into it.
It's and so okay. I just happened to be like in this area completely by myself. This was a river tournament. And so I was on the stretch river. I didn't think anybody else would even be there. I hoofed it up there. I was like, this is a spot I've fished, my whole life. It's inbounds. It's good to go. And this guy floats beside me. I guess he had like put in way upstream, was floating down, happened to be one of the like 3 people in charge of running the tournament or something. And, basically accosted me for not having a life jacket on. And I was like, I'm in 8 inches of water. He's like, doesn't matter. And to his point, it's right. It doesn't matter. It's in the rules. Like I did not have a life jacket on, so I got DQ'd.
But the thing is too with that is like, that is a totally different thing than sawing your kayak in half, putting out a boat and claiming you're in a kayak tournament. Well, I mean, yes. Okay. So that's one thing too, is I don't want people that just because they get DQ'd or they get a slap on the hand for breaking a rule, not all of it is ever intentional.
Right.
There's stuff like that. That is so common for new tournament anglers in general, kayak or not, to have a rule infraction simply out of experience. And that is how you learn. And there's nothing wrong with that. Do you feel like a dummy at the time? Yeah, but that's how you learn. That's like when you get yelled at by your parents growing up, you feel stupid in the moment, but like that's how you learn. That's how you adjust to life. But like, yeah, there's a big difference between cheating and then certain rule infractions, especially somebody like yourself that owns up to it. Like, I
didn't even have one with me. Yeah, that's what the guy. I was like, well, can I? And he's like, no, you don't even have one in your kayak. I was like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, but you. Did you every single time after that though?
Yeah,
exactly. So it's fine. It's not like you went out of there like, oh yeah, I'm getting an advantage. These guys aren't going to catch many fish because they don't have a life jacket.
I was so much faster not having that life jacket on. I was
there's rule stuff like that, and then there's competitive advantage, which is kind of where you start talking about cheating. But
so that's my last one. Do you have one more, or are you done?
I do have one.
All right.
That we could let rip here, and I want to caveat it a little bit because I'll say it and then I'll dive into it. But you do, in my opinion, you do not need a $300 rod. I'm not saying you need it, but you would benefit from a $300 reel. And when I say that, what I mean by that,
so I almost threw up. Up right there. I don't like it.
300 might not be the greatest number. We'll put it like 200. But what I'm trying to get at is I was thinking about this when you brought the show topic to me, and I've heard people talking about gear, and I've been talking with people recently about, obviously with the channel, gear and things I use and things like that. And some of the stuff that I've been using this past year, I've used so many good rods at that $99 price point that have been awesome. They've lasted me years. And then when I talk about reels, granted, there's specific brands which we'll get to here in a second, but I have not had, which I think the only reel at a $99 price point that has lasted me over one season was a Shimano SLX. And they start, for me anyway, for my amount of usage, they start going around 2 years. But I've had a Shimano Corrado now for almost 7 years. I have done zero maintenance on it. It was $250 at the time. Where if you think about it, where obviously the SLX is, I think it's the best $100 reel right now that you could buy. But, and I know of people that have used it for 5 years, but
pricing.
I'm trying to get a majority
anymore. But yeah,
damn it. But
old man yelling at cloud. They took away my one last standing metal house $99 reel. Dang it. Yeah.
The way I look at it, though, it is like the conversation between lead acid batteries and lithium batteries, where it's, do you want to go and spend 99 to 120 bucks a year and break a reel, especially if you're from the north and you fish in the cold? This is where I see most reels break down. Or you go and spend $200 to $300 on a reel and they last you 4 or 5 plus years, especially if you maintain them, not like me and don't clean your stuff. But I feel like that, in my opinion, I'm not here saying you need to go buy a $200 reel, a $300 reel. I think you would benefit to go and spend your money on, say, a 250. 300 is a little bit egregious. I should not have led with that number, but a price point reel, because it's in the long run, especially if you're someone that doesn't know how to maintain your stuff, will last you longer throughout all the conditions throughout the year than a $99, $120 reel.
So when you first said that, I would have fought to the death that I was the exact opposite. But then when you explain it, I think you're saying something different than what I thought you were saying at the beginning. I think it's a different conversation when you're talking about the value proposition of reels versus rods, which I think is what you're saying. I think
I'm
you're
not
saying
talking performance.
Yeah, if you have $100 bill, you are going to get more with that $100 bill if you spend it on a rod than spend it on a reel. I think
if you look at if you look at a timeline of, say, 5 years, you're probably going to, and if you buy a $200 to $250 reel, you're probably going to have that last the whole 5 years, especially if you take care of it. You might not even have to take care of it. That corrall's still kicking for me.
Yeah.
Chances are, though, if you go buy a reel at $100 price point, $120 price point, in that 5 years, it'll probably break by year 2. You have to buy another one. And then potentially you might end up in that 5-year span, have to buy a third. And even though you might end up coming out the same, which it's like you're just splitting hairs at that point, or end up paying more by buying that budget reel versus, especially if you're someone, this goes back to your rods, your first point of too many rods and reels, where if you're someone that only has 5 setups, it wouldn't hurt to spend a little bit extra money on something, especially when we're talking about the Shimano, the Daiwas that make that more metal reels that last, especially for us in the north. If you get the cold temperatures, those are the deal. I can't tell you how many plastic reels spinning and casting that I have broken when we start getting it, right now, getting into the fall months or the early spring because of temperatures.
Yeah, because where I was going to go at the beginning was, I do vehemently believe that the rod is more important than the reel. I think when you are fishing, I would much rather have, even if you want to go at the basic level here, I would rather have the right rod and the wrong reel than the right reel and the wrong rod. Would that make sense? I would rather have the right rod for a frog and have a 6-to-1 than have an 8-to-1 and a, you know what I mean? So I think rod is the most important of the two. And I also think you get more benefit out of having a better rod. You're getting more sensitivity, you're getting more backbone, all that type of stuff. You can feel the difference. That was the biggest difference when I made the switch in the rivers from, a $200 rod to now I'm not proud of it, but I have a $500 rod as my main rod for the rivers, because I needed to be able to feel the difference between that OW sniper, coming down the chute there and ticking a rock, and a smallmouth pecking it right there in the river. And you can feel that difference. You can't really feel that difference with a $99 to $129 rod. So it depends on what you need, for sure. But to your point, I just think you're getting more bang for your buck in the rod category now than you are in the reel category. Absolutely. I will 100% agree with that. I mean, a great example is a Fenwick Eagle. Those Fenwick Eagles are awesome. Now, I wish the rods were staying at $99 that used to be, but the Tatula XT rods are awesome for $99. The SLX rods are great. So there are some really
Put
awesome
one in there that I've told you this before in the past, and granted, I'm going to asterisk this and kind of half announcing, I guess, on here publicly, because I haven't done it on mine yet, but I'm working with 13 Fishing next year. But I've gotten to use their new Oath rods, which is their $99 rods. I've never been a 13 Fishing fan. Never.
The old joke for 13 used to be you bought one rod, you got two.
yeah, 2.5. But yeah, dude, I would put that in there.
Yeah,
it's, and I've told you about that Fenwick Eagle before. I think that was one of the best $100 rods ever made.
Yep.
But yeah, I think yes. If of importance, if you looked at the two, rod is more important, but I think, like you can get away with a lot more with $100 rod if you spend more money on your reel. If from a durability money standpoint, all over the long run, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you've also seen the reels have been hit harder in terms of the price increases as of late than the rods have. Like you used to be, if you rewind 5 years ago, there were all kinds of casting reels that you could have bought with an actual like aluminum frame for $99. Now, I don't think, someone can correct me here, I don't know if there is one still standing. Maybe the Pro Qualifier at Bass Pro, if that's still hanging out at $99, but that's gotta be it, right? Because the SLX was one of the last ones standing. Everything else has kind of moved into that 119, 129 type range, and you're starting to see graphite reels in the $79 to $99 range. You saw Luz do that. You saw Daiwa do that this past year. So yeah, I don't know if that is just materials going up. I don't know if that's tariffs. I don't know, whatever. I know that most companies have a better profit margin on rods than reels. So maybe that's helped them not hit the price increases as bad. But yeah. I think what you're saying and your point is right. I think just your dollar goes further in terms of durability and lasting longer if you spend it on a rod versus a reel. With a reel, you have to spend more to get that same durability that you would out of a cheaper rod. I think you're right. Yeah. Okay. I don't disagree with that. I think we only probably had like 2 or 3 that we like actually completely disagree on. I think most of those, you probably have some middle ground in there somewhere, if not just completely agreeing.
Yeah. You can't agree on everything. It's boring.
That'd be no fun. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no drama there, bro.
Gotta get those clicks. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. This guy stinks.
The title of this episode, Exposing Bailey Eigbrett.
Yeah.
Red arrow pointed at your face, big enlarged head, oversaturated.
Yeah, there you
we'll
go.
Get it going. Yeah.
No. Flipping off the camera.
Cops called, surprising results. Yeah.
Did I live? Dude, those are the ones that just drive me crazy. Did I survive?
Did I survive? I love the parentheses. Like surprising results. It's like, oh, okay. Thanks.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Great. And the surprising results, there were no surprising results at all.
Spoiler alert.
You caught 4 fish on a jig. Awesome.
Got it.
And an HOA pond. Okay. I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you. I know you are busy. I know you got a lot going on. Is there anything that you want folks to know? I know you just had a little bit of a teaser there. You're working with 13 this year. Anything else on the horizon for Bailey Eigbrett in general?
Yeah, I think you can see it on for folks that if you're watching or seeing a clip, working with Rapala as well. Obviously, they're part of with 13. That's a big one for me because my year going full time, I had the opportunities to, but did not want to work with any brands off the rip because I hadn't been, I guess we'll call it a free agent, if you will, in regards to like not having affiliations with brands. I had, friends in the industry that I wanted to support with business and help because they just had quality, good product, but I wasn't tied to anybody in regards to like rod, reel, line, whatever have you. And so took that year to just try a bunch of different stuff and just see where things went. And the guys over at the team, I should say, over at Rapala, 13, VMC, have all just like, it's the only one that I really just felt drawn to. Like, I almost felt like their guys are like, the camaraderie is kind of, it felt like I was back in the locker room down playing hockey growing up with my Canadian buddies and the guys from out in the Midwest. Like it felt right. And obviously they're amazing people, make an awesome product. And hard to argue with who they're working with right now with, the DCs, Kyle Welchers, Wheelers, so on and so forth. So when I got the opportunity of that and like also looking at what would 8-year-old me say to work with a world renowned brand of Rapala, like, holy smokes. So that's a big one at least. But I have the one thing I have everybody signed from this year that I worked with, my first year of content creation, first year doing the podcasting full time, everyone's back on board for next year. So I'm really proud of that. But dude, I'm fishing all of Bassmaster Kayak Series next year. I'm excited. I've never fished a full national schedule. Actually booking my flights to California today to make sure I get there for Clear Lake.
How do you get your kayak and stuff out there? Are you going to borrow one?
So I have to shout out to, I don't know if you guys know Wolf of Walmart, Dave Erkey on.
We know Dave.
He's the man. hooked me up with a gentleman out there who's actually going to be lending me a PA to use for the week. So shout out to him. His name is John Mahoney. And he's the one that is allowing me to come over. He's already, the hospitality is nuts for going over there. He's like, hey, we can find a motor for you. We can do this and that. I'm like, dude, I would love a kayak. If you can't, that's okay. I'll fly with an iTrack or something, man. I'll figure it out. I'll float an inner tube for that event. I just want to go one, just for the exploration's sake. As a content creator, it's going to be just awesome to go over there and fish. I don't care if I wind up in last, dude. It's freaking Clear Lake. I just want to go say I fished it. My buddy Chad over there is awesome. He lives on the lake. It kind of worked out perfect. He lives on the lake, so get to stay with him for the week. Just gonna fly over, rent a truck, go pick up the yak, and go explore California and support the West Coast side.
Do you have a hat with a flatter bill that you can wear out there?
Oh, dude, actually, I think I do.
Okay. Just don't want you to stick out too much.
Here we go. It's a smallmouth one too.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. You'll fit right in.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
A couple of giant HUDs and just, go out there.
Big giant swim baits only and nothing else. But yeah, no, dude, I'm just so excited. Because with the podcast, we've been trying to support the West Coast bassing community more, like directly supporting them. And
you've been on that train when no one else was. Yeah.
Trying to, man. Because obviously Deacon being a part of the team, him living in Idaho and loving the West Coast side, he wanted to do more. So we put more eggs into that basket. I'm like, man, it'd be freaking cool to go be the East Coast guy going out. All these West Coast guys will come out and fish the East Coast. I want to be the East Coast guy who goes fish the West Coast.
Yeah.
Sweet. I almost hopped in a whole tournament trail out there, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's a little too heavy on the travel and the money.
Crawl before we run here. Yeah.
I spent $2,000 to go try to win 500. All right. Well,
it's a great YouTube thumbnail though.
Yeah.
I spent $2,000 to try and win $500.
Capitalization.
Yeah, cops called.
Yeah. But no, dude, I'm excited for that. I've never fished a full trail. So I'm just looking forward to the actual content creation of it. My Chasing Hardware series that I started years ago, it's going to be a whole nother level. I got a buddy coming in to help film it and try to make it more of try to just make it not like trying to make this like thing look like TV or something like that, or make it my channel something that's not, because I've always been like the just point a GoPro and fish type of deal, but something that feels cool, get more of the soul into it. But yeah, I'm just excited for another year chasing this dream, dude. That's about it.
Well, if you're listening, go support him. We talked about it in this episode. It's like we should be supporting the people that are doing things the right way and are sincere, and it is the type of stuff that we want to watch as anglers, and you do a good job of that, and I've always respected that about you. So if you are sitting there tonight and you want something to watch or something to keep up with in the next probably year or so when you're doing this whole tournament trail, it's BE, right? Be the fish.
Yep. Yeah, I thought I was super clever, with the capital BE, because those are my initials. And it's like, yeah, people are gonna think that's nobody knows. Nobody gets it. They thought most people think it's a typo.
It right now, guys. Okay. BE is his initials, and he's trying to be the fish. So get it. Go leave him a comment or a review on how insightful and cool the name of his channel is, please.
Say how terrible the name is. No. Change it now.
Can we just get a couple comments on the next video that say, hey, I really like your channel. No, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. As always, ladies and gentlemen, that is the one and only Bailey Eigbrett.
Hello, I appreciate it, buddy.
All right, everybody. That is our conversation with kayak tournament angler, YouTuber, and podcast host Bailey Eigbrett. Be sure to give him a follow on YouTube. It's Be the Fish. That's BE the Fish. His podcast is the Serious Angler Podcast. They do a great job over there. And then his Instagram and Facebook are just Bailey Eigbrett Fishing. So go follow him if you're not already. His YouTube especially is definitely worth checking out. And we appreciate him stopping by today to approach some topics that might have been kind of, like I said, lightly controversial and might have had people listening feel very strongly one way or the other about them. I think that was a fun conversation. I think we got into some really great topics that were thought-provoking, to say the least. So I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you that takes the time every week to hit play on the Tackle Talk podcast. It is not lost on me that there is so much else out there that you could be choosing to listen to, and the fact that you will dedicate 30 to 60 to sometimes, like today, 2 hours to listen to this show blows my mind. And I am forever grateful for everybody that has kind of joined this Tackle Talk community. I appreciate you all. So with that, go follow us on Instagram, Facebook at Tackle Talk Podcast. Go find us on the web, tackletalkpodcast.com, and we'll see you right back here next Tuesday for another brand new episode of Tackle Talk.
Thank you for listening to the Tackle Talk Podcast. Tackle Talk is produced by Andrew Hayes. Copyright 2019. For more, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.